Welcome to Let's Play Rule the Waves 2 as France, starting in 1920, episode 15. And peace has broken out in the autumn of 1927 with the Soviet Union roundly defeated. So naturally, it's a time to regroup, replan, and sort out our finances. This, if you remember, is our battleship replacement program. What I've realized is, with building carriers and battleships, I can't replace everything like for like. I can't just replace the battle fleet and additionally build fleet carriers. So we've started on the Richelieu replacement with the Marengo, which is a few months into its construction, and the Charles Martel with the Pain-Levé, which is a fleet carrier. La Touche-Treville has already been replaced by the Duquesne, and the others will be starting probably in 28 for the Devastation, and so on going down the line. Over here you can see our current construction, so the Marengo, the Pain-Levé, a heavy cruiser of the Marseille class, which I have to say didn't perform as well as I hoped against the Soviet pocket battleship heavy cruisers, a couple of light cruisers, a couple of replacement destroyers for destroyers sunk, more corvettes with minesweeping capability because of the loss of a battle cruiser to mines, basically. I'm also concerned about my submarines, so I've just started out building one submarine as a test to see what kind of reliability I'm getting, to decide whether to start building en masse or whether to wait a little while. My ships have largely been put into mothballs and reserve, as is usual, with the exception of elite ships. I've decided for the moment to protect these elite ships because they give you such a huge bonus in battle, and I know it's going to be 3 years or something before they're going to be used again, but that seems worth keeping at the moment. My finances are minus 3,500, give or take, so I'm hoping that the year budget, which has gone down to 310, will reasonably quickly recover, although as you can see, tension is very low across the board. You may recall this analysis. This is the size of the various fleets from last year, with Great Britain, its battleships, its battleships, its light cruisers and so on. America, France and Japan equal about half of the American and British and the others. Obviously the Soviet Union now is much weaker. I show this because I need to decide who to plan to go to war with. So currently, really, I'm having intelligence against Britain and America, as they seem to be the best choices of a war. Really, Japan is a viable choice, but I'd have to strongly build up my bases in the Far East. America is a reasonable choice. I only have a tiny base in the Caribbean, in Antilles. And even if I built that up, which would take a long time, it's never going to equate against that. So it would always be a long distance war against America. Britain obviously is more problematic because they could potentially dismantle bits of my empire. So they would be the most challenging one. So I think America would be a really interesting country to go to war with and see how that played out. That's how I'm thinking at the moment. Obviously, the game may have other ideas. So let's go through the rest of the year. So a very quiet October. My heavy cruiser is commissioned, my last of my Marseillaise class. So I'm going to take that one, if I can find it, the Jeanne d'Arc, and I'm going to put it immediately into reserve. I think gradually that will put it into a fair crew quality over time, but means I don't have to work it up particularly. Actually, interesting to keep an eye on that one. Okay, this is an interesting offer. The Germans are offering a 10% discount on the second Marengo class. I'm inclined to take it. It will push our monthly balance well into the red, so I might have to manage my finances and halt some construction, but I think I like that. So yes, a revolution in an African country has left some of our nationals stranded. Send a strong squadron. Well, that will increase tensions, so yes, we like a bit of increased tension. And an advance in fire control and in reloads for torpedo tubes and in better aircraft handling. So 3 more techs. This has been a good year for techs. Pushed back our monthly balance to minus 3,800. Let's see what we can do with that. Are interested in buying? Yes. Oops, sorry, wrong one. By all means. And a London conference, a naval conference in London, has agreed to raise the displacement limit for light cruisers to 10,000 tons. It's a bit of an odd message because we're not actually being restricted by a peace treaty. Okay, this must mean that the AI has decided that light cruisers can now be 10,000 tons. A new Italian torpedo bomber. I haven't looked at my planes for a little while, so let's do a little bit of that. So that's it for 27. Here we are in January. So if we just have a little look at what's taken place across the year. So some construction coming through, which has been all good. A couple of rebuilds finished. A couple of Dessay battlecruisers sunk. Not my fault. I mean, one was mined and one was torpedoed and needed to be run at just a few knots, but the AI took over and ran it too fast and sank it. The finances, you can see we did build up a bit of a war chest, which we are now running down, and we probably only have 6 months at current rates of expenses before we run out of money and have to do something. Lots of great new techs this year. Obviously politically dominated by going into peace and only a couple of tensions. And the budget was up at 398. I've forgotten to put it in here, but I can tell you it's 331. So that's quite a drop. Tension, of course, has changed from almost at war to the Soviet Union to peace and light with everybody. Whoops, there are those missing figures edited in seamlessly. Let's go back and see what January does for us. Major arms sales, major arms firm, blah, blah, blah. Strong arms industry, yes, absolutely. A few more advances. Fighters, so let's bring this down. So our current fighter goes back to 24, but you can see from the max speed, things haven't pressed on hugely. Clearly this is the best fighter. The Moran Sogni is faster in all respects and has better range, better maneuverability, equally tough, and yeah, what's not to like? So we will definitely have one of those. We look up the aircraft types. We've got a really ancient float plane, but not too bothered with that. The torpedo bomber. So it seems very old now, so let's just see if we know anything about torpedo bombers. Well, aside from us being very old. Range. So ours is 100 heavy. Doesn't seem to be a huge change. 130 compared to this. Actually, that all seems pretty comparable. Okay. Let's check out dive bombers. We don't have a dive bombers. And I've seen this in other games where it takes years before we develop a dive bomber, even though I've got the research fully turned on. So that all seems to be going very well. The flying boat, where are we? So that's us. So old-ish. 145, 160s. Okay, let's request a new aircraft type. Let's just see if we can do a dive bomber. No. So let's go for the flying boat. And as ever, it's range, and then I'm going to say reliability. Still with these early planes, need to watch it. And into March. 20-inch guns, -1. I've never used a 20-inch gun. I mean, just seems a bit megalomaniac, really. What can you do with a 20-inch gun that you can't do with an 18 or even a 17-inch gun? Counterintelligence believes the USA has stolen intelligence from us. Well, that's, strongest possible language. Actually, that's quite interesting because if I look at the almanac, the USA's technology is advanced. I did look at it earlier at the start of the year off camera and it was very advanced, so they actually have slipped back a little bit, whereas France is behind. So it's backward, behind, average, advanced, very advanced. So they're 2 notches ahead of us. Britain is very advanced. Germany is behind as we are. Soviet Union is behind. Italy is backward and Japan is behind. So actually, only Britain and America are ahead. So, I don't know. Seems a bit beneath them to go around nicking my good stuff. I should be stealing their stuff. As you can see, we're starting to run out of money. At least these corvettes are going to be finished, but that's obviously not going to make a vast difference. 2,300. We'll eke it out slightly more. I'm just going to put these corvettes into mothballs. Go. And a couple more. The Germans are interested. Yes, by all means. My firm allies. Two more working ups into mothballs. And one of my cruisers has finished, so that's nice. And 2 destroyers. I keep getting this message because I'm not stacking aircraft in all my air bases. I'm either keeping them in Northern Europe or I'm keeping them in the Mediterranean. I'm not doubling up and having them all loaded up. I'm just going to say no to all. So, the old Victor Hugo. So we will put these new ships into reserve. Wow! So that actually made a much bigger difference than I thought, and we have a slight positive balance. Hooray! So with 3 capital ships and a light cruiser under construction. So I guess that sets the bar for France in terms of how much it can continue to grow. Great news. Right, so do we want to sell to the Japanese? Yeah, I'm hungry for the money at the moment, which is all building up our savings nicely so we can start to think about what to buy next. Everyone wants to buy stuff from us. The Italians. Well, come on, yes, we can put the money to good use. New prototype for our flying boat. So that's the one in service. Let's look at the range. Okay, so this top one is definitely, look at that, 209 against 145, and at light nearly 400 miles. Okay, easy choice. And our fighter is ready. So let's just go back to the airplane types and do a quick comparison. Medium bombers, where are we? So that's us. So pretty good performance medium bomber, actually. I think that's absolutely fine. No one has heavy bombers. We've just done the flying boat. The torpedo bomber we decided was old, but still good. Can't do dive bomber. Fighter has just entered service and looks fine. So that means probably the float plane, which is really quite old. So let's request that. Float plane, range and reliability, that still seems good for them too. So looking at the decent war chest I've built up, I'm concerned at our carriers. We have 2 CVLs in service. The Russians have 1, the British have 4, the Americans have 5. Now, yes, we have the Panleve, which is equivalent to another 2 CVLs. It's double the size, but it would be nice to sneak in an additional one. So, whoops, wrong one. I'm tempted to go and see what we can do to modernize the Dixmude, if I can find it. Here we go. Let's give it a new name. Seems Arromanches is the or Lafayette. Let's go with Lafayette. So first thing, let's increase this. The reason we're able to do this is because of the weight savings involved compared to the original. 200 is fine. One fire control. This is not designed for surface actions. None of that all matters. Heavy anti-aircraft at 29. Now we do have directors, so that cranks it up to 56. And we do have mediums, so let's I don't know, let's go for 16 medium, and then bring this down to maybe 10, or indeed 9. There we go. So that's a huge leap in the anti-aircraft profile. Yeah, we've gone a little bit over, but we can deal with that by just cranking up the tonnage slightly. And I think, well, just thinking of a bit of torpedo protection, that really increases the size. Let's take it to 16. So the cost now is 44, which is not a huge amount more than I'd feared or expected. I can probably take the speed up to 29. No, I can't. The reason for 29 is the Panleve is 29, but the Dixmude itself is 28. it would be lovely to have them 32 or something like that, but I think this is fine because they're kind of operating alone at the moment. That seems fine. So actually, let's bring this tonnage back down again and see if we can save a little bit of money. 400 tons. Can't think of anything more useful to stick that on. Obviously, we've got the maximum number of planes. Let's just check that that's all fine. Fire control is not the best type. Too many mounts will affect the rate of fire. Alright, so we've got advanced director and too many mounts. -20 rate of fire, so I wonder how many we need to lose. Shame, because that 56 seemed pretty good. So let's delete those two and see if... No. So I've had to reduce the main armament down to only 4, which halves it, which I'm really not happy about. I think I prefer to actually take the rate of fire hit. So let's at least add 2 more, which takes us to 35. Gives us a 10% mod. Let me just see if going up to 16,000 cures that. Nope. Frees up some space on the mediums. So let's take advantage of that. But yeah, disappointing. I wonder, I'm just going to experiment with 3 inches. Okay, I've messed about with various configurations of 4 inches and 3 inches and medium and light AA. This seems to be about the best I can do. Not thrilled with that. I still kind of want to add in these extra here to take this from 29 to 40. Yeah, it's a 10% mod, and obviously I need to lower this down. So yep, 10% mod, but I'm happy with that. It's forced us to reduce the weight by a lot, so we can bring this weight down and therefore the cost to 43. I guess this is just, you know, quite a tight design. You're fitting a lot onto a 15,000 ton vessel. So let's go with the Lafayette. Oh, still not legal. Arr. There we go. And add that. This light cruiser's only got 2 months to finish, so that all should be fine. September. Another and another. Good technology. Tension's still a bit rubbish. There's our cruiser. They want to sell us armoured development. So yeah, let's buy that. That's nice. And one of our own and another of our own. Wow, they're coming all the way through. So let's start with the Lafayette. Pushes us into the minus slightly. Let's go and find that cruiser that's working up. Where are you? There you are. Pop that into the reserve. So my little theory that if I put the Victor Hugo into the reserve, it would gradually go from poor to fair, hasn't worked out just yet. Just something to note there. And October. The old sailing regatta. It's not a good time. Ooh. International understanding. No, it's not a good time. Voice radio in fleet tactics. That will help. And December. Anti-British rebellion has broken out in the Falkland Islands. I didn't even think the Falkland Islands was baseable. Let's just go to the map. Oh yeah, it's the only one in the South Atlantic. Oh well. Not interested in that. How are we doing? 6 months before the Panleve. Well into the year after next for the other three. Okay. So once the Panleve is done around about the summertime, we might be able to start off something else, but our yearly budget is still very low at 334. So we've had almost no increase in tensions. I could look to the obsolescence. So we have these destroyers. I believe they are unrebuildable. Yeah. So that's fine. And the same with, oh, they're the same class. I don't know why it splits them there and there. Then these three teeny tiny little ones. So at 500, we could effectively decommission these as destroyers and see if we can convert them to corvettes, because I think their days are numbered. So if we get rid of the torpedo mounts, increase the storage. I doubt we can have that many K guns actually. So reclassified it. Yep, can't have 4. I also need to lower the speed, which is can have 2. Of course, it's 500 tons, and I can't have one that is 600 tons. So sorry. Corvettes must be 600 tons or more. This destroys 500 tons, so I can't actually realistically make that conversion. They are only costing 2, so I could scrap them, but actually they still are providing 3 ASW each. And up here, these 4 of the Jean Bart class. Let's have a look what we can do with these. No viable upgrade for the Jean Barts, so I've scrapped them for a little bit of money. And this takes us to the end of the year again. Here's the year in review. Struggling with the finances as we've been building a lot. Scrapped these for light cruisers. Slightly whimsical, but I wouldn't be comfortable putting them into a war next year based on their unupgradability. Working hard on the 2 Marengos, on the Panleve, which should be finished halfway through next year, on the new Lafayette, 2 new light cruisers, 2 destroyers, and 10 corvettes all built. And an impressive array of good innovations. Tensions, not that great. So the budget's only increased to 334, and as you can see the tension scale here hardly any different at all. So let's hope for a better 1927. Oh, there's our experimental submarine coming in, so we'll take a look at that. New government wants to increase. No. Protest, our unrest level is 0, so that's absolutely fine. And start the new year with 2 new breakthroughs. So that's all good. Thanks for watching this. Hope you enjoyed it. Hasn't pushed on quite as far as I wanted, but I have a good feeling about 1929. So hope you can join me for the next episode. Thanks for watching and take care.